The Man Who Wished to Be Perfect by Lal Bihari Dey. Once, on a time, a religious mendicant came to a king who had no issue and said to him, "As you are anxious to have a son, I can give to the queen a drug, by swallowing which she will give birth to twin sons. But I will give you the medicine on this condition, that of those two twins, you will give one to me, and keep the other yourself." The king thought the condition somewhat hard, but as he was anxious to have a son to bear his name and inherit his wealth and kingdom, he at last agreed to the terms. Accordingly, the queen swallowed the drug, and in due time gave birth to two sons. The twin brothers became 1 year old, 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, and still the mendicant did not appear to claim his share. The king and the queen therefore thought that the mendicant, who was old, was dead, and dismissed all fears from their minds. But the mendicant was not dead, but living. He was counting the years carefully. The young princes were put under tutors and made rapid progress in learning, as well as in the art of riding and shooting with the bow. And as they were uncommonly handsome, they were admired by all the people. When the princes were 16 years old, the mendicant made his appearance at the palace gate and demanded the fulfillment of the king's promise. The hearts of the king and the queen were dried up within them. They had thought that the mendicant was no more in the land of the living. But what was their surprise when they saw him standing at the gate in flesh and blood and demanding one of the young princes for himself. The king and queen were plunged into a sea of grief. There was nothing for it, however, but to part with one of the princes, for the mendicant might by his curse turn into ashes not only both the princes, but also the king, queen, palace, and the whole of the kingdom to boot. But which one was to be given away? The one was as dear as the other. A fearful struggle arose in the hearts of the king and queen. As for the young princes, each of them said, "I'll go, I'll go." The younger one said to the elder, "You are older, if only by a few minutes. You are the pride of my father. You remain at home. I'll go with the mendicant." The elder said to the younger, "You are younger than I am. You are the joy of my mother. You remain at home. I'll go with the mendicant." After a great deal of yea and nay, after a great deal of mourning and lamentation, after the queen had wetted her clothes with her tears, the elder prince was let go with the mendicant. But before the prince left his father's roof, he planted with his own hands a tree in the courtyard of the palace, and said to his parents and brother, "This tree of life, when you see the tree green and fresh, then know that it is well with me. When you see the tree fade in some parts, then know that I am an ill case. And when you see the whole tree fade, then know that I am dead and gone." Then, kissing and embracing the king and queen and his brother, he followed the mendicant. As the mendicant and the prince were wending their way towards the forest, they saw some dogs' whelps on the roadside. One of the whelps said to its dam, "Mother, I wish to go with the handsome young man, who must be a prince." The dam said, "Go." And the prince gladly took the puppy as his companion. They had not gone far when upon a tree on the roadside they saw a hawk and its young ones. One of the young ones said to its dam, "Mother, I wish to go with that handsome young man who must be the son of a king." The hawk said, "Go." And the prince gladly took the young hawk as his companion. So the mendicant, the prince, with the puppy and the young hawk, went on their journey. At last they went into the depth of the forest, far away from the houses of men. When they stopped before a hut thatched with leaves, that was the mendicant's cell. The mendicant said to the prince, "You are to live in this hut with me. Your chief work will be to cull flowers from the forest for my devotions. You can go on every side, except the north. If you go towards the north, evil will betide you. You can eat whatever fruit or root you like, and for your drink, you will get it from the brook." The prince disliked neither the place nor his work. At last he used to cull flowers in the forest and give them to the mendicant, after which the mendicant went away somewhere the whole day and did not return till sundown. So the prince had the whole day to himself. He used to walk about in the forest with his two companions, the puppy and the young hawk. He used to shoot arrows at the deer, of which there was great number, and thus made the best of his time. One day, as he pierced a stag with an arrow, he wounded the stag, and it ran towards the north. The prince, not thinking of the mendicant's behest, followed the stag, which entered into a fine-looking house that stood close by. The prince entered, but instead of finding the deer, he saw a young woman of matchless beauty sitting near the door with a dice table set before her. The prince was rooted to the spot while he admired the heaven-born beauty of the lady. "Come in, stranger," said the lady. "Chance has brought you here. Don't go away without having with me a game of dice." The prince gladly agreed to the proposal. As it was a game of risk, they agreed that if the prince lost the game, he should give his young hawk to the lady, and that if the lady lost it, she would give to the prince a young hawk just like that of the prince. The lady won the game. She therefore took the prince's young hawk and kept it in a hole covered with a plank. The prince offered to play a second time, and the lady agreeing to it, they fell to it again, on the condition that if the lady won the game, she should take the prince's puppy, and if she lost it, she should give the prince a puppy just like that of the prince. The lady won again, and stowed away the puppy in a hole with a plank. Upon it, the prince offered to play a third time, and the wager was that if the prince lost the game, he should give himself up to the lady to be done by her anything she pleased, and that if he won, the lady should give him a young man exactly like himself. The lady won the game a third time. She therefore caught hold of the prince and put him in a hole covered over with a plank. Now, the beautiful lady was not a woman at all. She was a Rakshasi who lived upon human flesh, and her mouth watered at the sight of a tender body of a young prince. But as she had her food that day, she reserved the prince for the meal of the following day.